Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a really unique journey, actually. We're diving into a very specific historical text from homeopathy.
That's right, William Boericke's Homeopathic Materia Medica.
Exactly. And we're zoning in on one compound, Causticum.
A fascinating one.
So think of this deep dive as, well, maybe your express lane to understanding some incredibly detailed observations about health, subtle symptoms.
Things you might not normally connect.
Right. Our mission is really to unpack the most surprising bits, the insightful patterns from this very specific medical description. I want to give you a good overview, but concise.
And what's so compelling here, I think, is the level of detail. It's almost like a microscopic view of symptoms. Not just the physical stuff, but emotional, mental states too. It's less like a textbook description and more like a really carefully painted portrait of a particular state of being ill.
Yeah.
It lets us connect things that seem, well, unrelated at first glance.
Okay, let's get into it then. We're looking at Causticum. Boericke also calls it Hahnemann's Tinctura Acris Sine Kali. Now, for anyone maybe less familiar, Materia Medica in homeopathy is basically this huge collection describing substances and the symptoms they're thought to cause and cure.
A foundational text type.
And Hahnemann's Tinctura Acris Sine Kali that just points to a preparation involving caustic potash, which Hahnemann, the founder, explored. So what kind of picture does Boericke paint? Who is this for? What does it primarily affect?
Well, broadly speaking, Causticum mainly seems to target chronic conditions, things like rheumatism, arthritis, paralytic issues.
Okay.
You often see these tearing, drawing pains described. They're in the muscles, the fibrous tissues, sometimes leading to like deformities around joints and a progressive loss of muscle strength, even tendons contracting, drawing up. The text even mentions its use for what it calls broken down seniles.
So kind of a picture of gradual decline, specific pains, a sense of things breaking down.
Exactly. Chronic progressive weakness.
Does Boericke describe a particular type of person who fits this picture best?
He does, actually. It suggests it tends to show up more in dark complexioned and rigid fibered persons. That's the phrasing.
Interesting. Specific.
Yeah. And there's a skin appearance, too. A dirty white sallow complexion is how it's put. Often with warts, especially on the face.
Warts on the face.
And also long-standing emaciation. Weight loss from being sick for a long time or from worry. That's another notable feature.
This specificity is really where it gets interesting, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Right. Let's really delve into the Materia Medica now. Let's zoom in on those specific, sometimes really peculiar symptoms that make Causticum stand out. Where should we start? General feelings.
I think the most characteristic sensations, the ones that run through almost everything, are burning, rawness, and soreness.
Burning, rawness, soreness.
Yeah. You see that theme pop up again and again in the physical descriptions. It's almost like a foundation.
Sounds deeply uncomfortable. Pervasive. What about the mind, the emotional side?
Oh, the mental state is quite vivid too. For instance, a child might be afraid to go to bed alone, cries very easily. So, high sensitivity. There's often a general sadness, a feeling of hopelessness, maybe a deep melancholy. But then here's the interesting part. An intensely sympathetic nature. They really feel for other people's suffering.
So sad themselves, but very empathetic.
Exactly. And ailments can apparently stem from long-lasting grief or sudden shocks, intense emotions. And here's a really unique detail. Just thinking about their complaints, especially things like hemorrhoids, can actually make the symptoms worse.
Wow. That's a powerful mind-body link right there. The thought itself aggravating the physical.
It really highlights that connection.
So how does this deep sensitivity and this progressive weakness show up in the more, let's say, dramatic physical symptoms Boericke talks about, particularly paralysis?
Well, that mind-body thing is key. The paralysis is often described as a progressive weakness. It kind of creeps up gradually. Generally not, no. And it can be quite localized, affecting the vocal cords, for example, or the muscles you use for swallowing, deglutition, or the tongue, leading to, indistinct speech, muffled words. You might see drooping eyelids, stenosis, or paralysis affecting one side of the face. The right side is often mentioned specifically.
The right-sided facial paralysis.
Okay.
And also bladder weakness, paralysis in the arms or legs. And for children, there's that specific note. They are slow to walk.
Slow to walk. And related to movement, are there other really specific details about limbs, mobility? It sounds like it goes beyond just weakness.
Oh, definitely. The text mentions things like left-sided sciatica, but with numbness along with the pain.
Ah, numbness too.
Yes, unsteadiness in the forearm and hand muscles, a general numbness, loss of sensation in the hands. Tendons can contract, like we said, and ankles might feel really weak.
So walking would be difficult.
Very.
Yeah.
People might feel they cannot walk without suffering. They walk unsteadily, fall easily. And there's that classic symptom too, restless legs at night. That's quite a distinct picture. Restless legs, yeah, many people experience that. It's those peculiar sensory details, though, or the very specific bodily functions that really make this text stand out. What are some memorable ones?
Oh, there are loads. They paint such a precise picture. Like, for the head, a sensation of empty space between forehead and brain.
Empty space.
That's strange.
Isn't it? Or in the stomach, this feeling as if lime were burned in stomach often goes with an aversion to sweets and just general acid dyspepsia.
Like actual burning lime? Wow.
That's the description. And then there's that odd sensation of a ball rising in the throat, often linked to feeling hysterical or anxious. Globus hysterica is sometimes called.
Right, the lump in the throat feeling. And you hinted at this, but there are some pretty graphic, almost uncomfortably specific details about the excretory system.
Indeed, Boericke doesn't hold back. The stool, for instance, can be soft and small, size of goose quill.
Huh.
Or the opposite. Hard, tough, covered with mucus, shines like grease, small-shaped, but the really, really striking detail
is that it's often expelled with a lot of straining, or, and this is bizarre, only when standing up.
Only on standing up. How does that even work?
It's one of those incredibly specific observations in the text. There's also mention of partial paralysis of the rectum, soreness, burning there, and issues like fistulas or large painful piles.
Goodness. And urination sounds just as complicated. Lots of issues with control.
Yes, involuntary urination is a big feature, especially when coughing or sneezing, or during the first part of sleep at night, even just from the slightest excitement.
There's a very sensitive bladder control.
Very. Urine might be expelled really slowly too, or sometimes it's retained completely. And there can be a loss of sensation when passing urine. They don't feel it. Retention after surgery is another specific point mentioned.
Okay, so bringing this up the body to the respiratory system.
Yeah.
The cough sounds incredibly particular as well.
It is very distinct. You get hoarseness, often with chest pain. Sometimes it gets so bad it leads to aphonia, complete loss of voice. The cough itself is described with this feeling of raw soreness of chest. Expectoration, any mucus, is scanty. And here's another specific. It must be swallowed. They can't spit it out easily.
Try and cough it up properly.
Right. And here's one of those contradictory details we mentioned earlier. A very specific cough with pain in the hip, especially the left hip. It gets worse in the evening.
Okay.
But it gets better from drinking cold water.
Better from cold water.
But then it gets worse from the warmth of the bed.
That is contradictory. Better cold, worse warm in bed. That's one of those details that really sticks with you, as you said.
Exactly. There's also mention of a sore streak down the trachea and this sensation of mucus stuck under the sternum, the breastbone, that they just cannot quite reach. So they're always trying to clear their throat.
That constant need to clear. Yeah. So Boericke's Materia Medica is full of these precise modalities, right? These conditions that make things better or worse. Are there other general ones for Causticum besides the cough example?
Absolutely. And this really gets to the heart of how meticulous Boericke was in detailing these things. Generally, Causticum symptoms tend to be worse in dry, cold winds.
Okay, dry, cold air is bad.
Yes, and in clear, fine weather, surprisingly, from cold air generally, and also from the motion of a carriage, like travel sickness.
Interesting.
And better.
Conversely, symptoms are often better in damp, wet weather.
Opposite of the clear, fine weather.
Right. And better from warmth generally, although, as we saw with the cough, the warmth of bed can be that weird exception. It really shows the complex, sort of individualized nature of these old observations.
Fascinating. Okay, before we kind of wrap this up and bring the whole picture together, what about the skin? We mentioned the complexion and warts. Anything else? Or other surprising connections?
Yeah, the skin issues are pretty prominent beyond just that dirty, white, sallow look. There's often soreness and skin folds,
Yeah.
Behind the ears, between the thighs.
Places that rub.
Exactly. And the warts are described as large, jagged, and they bleed easily, particularly on the fingertips and the nose. Fingertips and nose for warts. Noted.
And here's another really intriguing detail, quite specific. Old burns that do not get well. Ill effects from burns, lingering pain from burns, those are listed as indications for causticum.
So, issues with healing, especially burns.
Seems so. Even old injuries can apparently reopen, and cicatrices' old scars can freshen up, meaning they become tender or inflamed again. It points to maybe a deep-seated issue in the connective tissues, the skin's ability to heal and maintain itself.
Wow, what an incredibly detailed, specific deep dive that was. We've really unpacked Causticum, haven't we? From that intensely sympathetic yet sad mental state to the really peculiar cough that gets better with cold water, worse in bed, even that dirty white sallow skin, the warts, the issues with old burns reopening. It's such a distinct portrait.
It really is a portrait of chronic, progressive issues, but with this very sensitive, empathetic core.
And if you connect this back to the bigger picture, like you said earlier, it just underscores the incredible level of observation in these old homeopathic texts.
The sheer volume of precise symptoms, yeah, including all those often contradictory modalities, it just paints such a rich, complex picture of a particular experience of illness.
It's really a testament to how deeply those early practitioners tried to map out the full human experience of being unwell.
Exactly.
And it just reminds us how interconnected everything is, body, mind, down to the tiniest, weirdest detail.
Like needing to stand up.
Right. And you touched on this earlier, these remedies exist in a kind of network. Boericke also mentions Causticum's relationships. Like, it supposedly doesn't agree well with phosphorus.
Incompatibility.
And he lists antidotes, like for lead poisoning effects, and complements remedies that work well alongside it, like carwabo. And even specific potencies are suggested, usually higher ones for those chronic paralytic states. It's a whole system.
It is. And this whole deep dive into just one entry, really, it reminds us that understanding often comes from paying super close attention to the nuances, those idiosyncratic observations.
Seeing the individual within the symptom picture.
Precisely.
So maybe, as you, our listener, go about your day, you might consider, how many subtle cues does your own body give you? What seemingly small thing, maybe even contradictory, might actually be a key piece of a much bigger puzzle.
Interesting thought.
It's often in those really precise details that new insights can emerge.
Definitely something to ponder.
Well, that's it for this deep dive. We certainly hope you found it as enlightening as we did.
Hope so.
Until next time, keep digging into the fascinating details of the world around you.